This week in comic books, we find out what happens when you take the gimmick away from all the gimmicky villains of Batman, and we find out how cold they can be. That's called foreshadowing. In the lands of Marvel, we get Murder World, and what happens to influencers when they think they have more power than they actually do. And in the land of Independence, Junkyard Joe #2 comes out, and this is actually going to be a very heartfelt story. We got that and a few other comic books. But first, let's run a bumper. It's another week of comic books. That means I have a lot of thoughts and things that I read, so let's jump right into it.
About time.
With DC this week, Batman One Bad Day. These have been great. In this particular one, we have Mr. Freeze, hence the cover. And what we're doing in these books is we're taking away an aspect of these villains, right, and what they're actually like. I guess a more modernization of them. And this gimmick, the whole keeping Nora alive because he believed that he could actually bring her back, and they had this wonderful love marriage, almost a blind love type of marriage. But come to find out, their marriage really wasn't that great.
I don't know. Guess it felt good.
Right? And he's kind of just guilt-ridden, and he can't let her go in this. This is good. Heartfelt, still had a lot of heart there. You know, he realized he was this guy, and he just can't, let his wife go. Was the truth behind the whole thing, instead of actually believing that he could bring her back. It's probably the more emotional one of these so far, thus far, out of the three that I've read. But definitely worth the read. I've read, this is my fourth one, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish these out. If they keep producing this, I'm going to keep reading it until they get to Kite Man, because I hate Kite Man. I hate Kite Man. It's so bad. But for the most part, this is a solid read these week. I would be picking these up. Definitely good, fun reads. Next on the list, still from DC, we get Stargirl, The Lost Children #1. This is picked up from the annual that came out early in the summertime. Still very golden age influence in this, but we're kind of dealing with the sidekicks of these superheroes, and where did these kids go, and why did they become sidekicks to a superhero? What did that actually mean?
I saw some stuff. Shit's gotta change.
And how even some of them really weren't sidekicks. They were the main character. This is good. And where did they go in the mystery behind an island where we believe that they're all at? And the relationship between them, and how little is known about the sidekick. This is good. I'm enjoying this. It's done. I love this type of artwork that is going on. I'm really becoming a fan of this. I don't know art that well, so I don't know what to call it. But it really does draw your attention. And really makes you focus on what's going on in the story there. Plus, I collect Golden Age. I love Golden Age comics, so a lot of these characters I get to see if I got that book, and kind of play that game a little bit with it. So it has this whole extra thing to it besides the story. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it. And I like Stargirl. I like the show on the CW. I think it's a very well-written show. Again, playing that kind of, hey, there were these golden age heroes that we kind of respect, and we're kind of emulating them, and they're teaching us to be better.
Law enforcement, hands where I can see them. You two upstairs, check for perps. You four, kitchen and basement. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you on the floor.
I like that concept. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be chasing this one down a whole new rabbit hole right here. Next, World's Finest. So I got the 90s cover. You get the gimmick there with the cape blowing on them. This is such a sad story. So we get Thunder Boy, right? He's from another dimension. Now he's got superpowers here, and now he's learning what type of superhero he could be versus what he should be, if that makes any sense. So here's a good example. At one point he learns, the extreme levels that Batman's willing to go to, and he takes this as a lesson. Whereas Superman goes to his levels because of his environment, and they go to certain levels. And he's kind of learning the balance of these two type of theories, right? Of beating bad guys, right? What's that extreme level?
Shoot the hostage. I like your style.
It's death, beating them to a pulp, excessiveness, whatever the case may be, or just mild manner, you know, hey, stop, stop. Just pat him on the nose. Where do you draw that line? And a lot of that stuff comes from experiences. I'm sure you've had those experiences yourself in your life, how to handle a situation. Screaming and yelling doesn't always work. It should, but it doesn't always work in the case. I like this because we actually get to see a hero go through, instead of just montaging what it is to be a hero, we're actually walking through those steps of what it takes to be a hero. And of course, Joker and Mr. Key are teamed up in this, and they got some villainy afoot. Right? I don't know why I'm speaking in old language, but whatever. But he's about to learn what it is to actually have to deal with a villain that he can be matched up to instead of just like regular robbers and things along those lines. The sadistic side of having to deal with these particular situations. I like this. It's very meaningful. It's very well written, and you get great cameos from some of the Teen Titans and things along those lines too. Love the dialogue in it as well. I think they did a very good job in the dialogue. So that takes care of the DCs this week. We got Murder World Avengers. So as I said in the beginning, Arcade, who's a character I like. He's kind of like if you've never read any of his stuff before from the old X-Men runs, he's kind of like a Clue Master, Riddler, right? Gimmicky type of villain who puts his victims through various traps, courses, and puzzles, and dollars, I guess. I don't know why that's a specific number in here. But in this, one of the people that kind of get recruited is a young YouTuber streamer. We'll just say streamer. He's a streamer. Because he could be Twitch, he could be anything. And who has a very huge following, of course. And he thinks he is being brought here to like do a documentary on this super secret thing because, he's an influencer. Come to find out, he's part of the game.
Hell no. Come on, man.
But an interesting thing happens. This happens shortly after his 18th birthday. He gets put under a bunch of stress, and in true X-Men fashion, but superpowers. Superpowers. Right? And then he finds out real quick that even with his superpowers have nothing to do with the real world, much less being an influencer. And he gets shot in the back of the head. Like just it was so anticlimactic. It was just like, oh, he's not going to be the main character of the story. I couldn't help, in my own little sadistic laughter, couldn't help but laugh a little bit.
I don't feel great about it.
So, they learn, right? No real power here. The true story is that the villain himself and the people having to go through this, ordinary people having to go through this particular horrifying thing for a prize that they volunteered for. So, come what may, I guess. I'm enjoying this. I'm going to chase this down. Because yeah. All right, next. Something I didn't care for this week. And, let me know what you thought about this book in the comments down below. I definitely want to know it. Off the cusp of the arch of the whole Sin Eater, Spider-Man Sin Eater story arc, now we have Golden Goblin, right? So Norman Oswald is like an old man, right? He's a grandfather, and apparently he's a very good grandfather, and apparently this isn't good enough for him to be satisfied in this role. He needs to go ahead and be a hero now because he was a villain at one time or something. Yeah, no. Like, first off, I'm not really digging this whole costume design. I'm not, like, what are they trying to do here? Like, it's the Goblin, but he's made of gold. So he's good? I don't know. And in this, he's kind of learning the ropes of being a superhero himself. But he's not doing it in any real learning way. He's just kind of going through it. In this, he runs into Jack-O-Lantern, who's been popping in and out of story arcs here lately, and just goes ahead and drops that body. So much for the whole superhero thing. But anyway, so yeah, this is a pretty simplistic story. Really, it would have been cool if he taught the kid to be a superhero, right? Like pass the torch type of story. That maybe they'll do that. I don't know, but I know I'm not going to be following this down much longer. I just found this boring and annoying all at the same time. And he's also haunted by all of his regrets. So, like Gwen Stacy, she's like a ghost in it or something that talks to him. Something whoosh. I don't know. I I just can't get behind this. Again, it's nothing against the writer. I'm probably missing something. So definitely let me know in the comments down below if you read this. You're like, hey, you're missing the point here. Here's the thing that you're not getting. Let me know down below because I'm just like so much hype behind this book, and I'm just like, what is everybody? It's Norman Oswald again. Like that whole Osborne family have just been different characters, right? Remember they have the sleepy ghost thing, right? And then this, and, I'm just not there. All right, next, something I'm kind of in the middle of the road on. I'm not sure about this one. Captain America: The Winter Soldier Special. So right off the cusp of again another story, we're going to be launching into this, and we find out that the star on Captain America's shield actually represents an oligarchy of people ruling the world. Every conspiracy theory's wet dream, right? And in this, you have power, money, or the avatars, I should say, of power, money, art, which I'm surprised they added art because very rarely does that get thrown in there. Machine or technology, and of course, revolution. And now Winter Soldier has to represent revolution. Ironically, he wants to shed light on this entire thing and destroy this whole organization that's just kind of running the world of these four people, I guess. And he's going to have some help.
What's that smell?
Smell of a man saving the city from corruption.
Ugh.
Right, so that is a cool aspect of it. I like the conspiracy theory side of it. I love the fact that art wants to help adorn the revolution, if you will, kind of play on his side for a while. And we see money and power being greedy, and we see technology not caring about anybody because they're cold. But we saw the origins of this particular organization, what got them started. Kudos to the writer for doing a little history and bringing up Ferdinand. If you don't know, Ferdinand is the guy who committed an assassination and kicked off World War II. So, yeah, that happened. So good kudos to the writer for reaching into history and kind of pulling that little aspect out and playing it into the whole conspiracy theory thing. I thought that was smart and it was good and I enjoyed it. But I don't want this thing to get too preachy on me. Like just tell the story and end it. Don't tell me how bad all this stuff is because money helps us as much as it destroys. Same thing with technology and machines. And let's just be honest, the people that can do this stuff the best generally have the power, or this perception of power, I should say. So I'm not really sure where they're going to take this, but I'll probably chase it down a couple of issues and we'll see what happens. All right, next. I hate Fairyland, and of course I had to get the variant F Fairyland. So Gertrude, right, in her first issue, she was a little girl in Fairyland and did some of the most horrific things to people that you can possibly, or characters that you can possibly do out there. Now she's grown up and she's not coping very well with the real world.
Come on, you cheated on me and almost gave me the sif.
Right, she's kind of just not fitting in. Right, violence is always her answer. So let's just send her back to Fairyland so she can do something there. And of course, she does. At the request of an individual that is obviously backing this whole thing. This is just violent fun from Scotty Young, doing what he does very well and telling a whimsical story and adding some violence to it. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. Am I going to chase it down? Really, that's going to be a whim thing for me, really. I like Scotty Young's writing. I like the way he writes. But eventually, I just want to chase something else down. All right, last but not least, my pick of the week. And you already knew this was going to happen. Junkyard Joe. So we find out that Muddy Davis, Vietnam veteran, survived a horrendous attack and was convinced that the whole Junkyard robot thing was a figment of his imagination and coping with reality. Of course, he's going to suffer from a little PTSD in this. Who wouldn't through his circumstances? But to help cope with all this, he created a family, he had a lovely wife, and had a long-running cartoon strip in the Sunday Funnies. And I thought that was great, but finally that's coming to an end. And I always say, people that are used to very high stress levels find it very hard when things get mundane. And
I need you two on the ground now.
Shut the fuck up.
of course, in this, the cure for that is Junkyard Joe shows up. But little does anybody know that he's being chased down by yet another robot that's very similar to him and is currently working for a secret alphabet agency that wants to find him. And it's so good. Like, I remember Junkyard Joe in the Geiger series, and it was kind of a thing there, and it was cool, but breaking away and giving him his own story and how he's kind of lived that long is kind of interesting to me, and I've really been enjoying this. Plus, I mean, how can you pass stuff up like that? Like, come on. So yeah, enjoying that. Great story. Good stuff. So super small haul this week. I got to the shop super late. So that's the comic book haul and review. If you get a chance, go down to the link below and check out Coffee Brand Coffee. I'm not saying you have to buy anything, but just check out some of the reviews. You know, if you feel so entitled to buy some coffee from there.
I got you.
Please use promo code POCANJO and save yourself 10%. Of course, I also have a merch store down there as well. We got designs from Roscoe, Geeked Out with Roscoe, as well as some other artists, shirts, some collared shirts, all kinds of stuff in there as well. And if you feel so inclined, pick yourself up some of that Evil Layer merch. Alright guys, I got nothing else. I'm jumping out of here. Take it easy.